Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Nana's Space and my name is Nana. Thank you for all who have watched, liked, subscribed and commented on my previous videos. I know that the one I did before was quite a long video, but it's quite an entertaining one, so if you've not watched it, do check it out. Today I'll be talking about New Amsterdam Season 4 Episode 5 and I need to take a break. I had to take a break from my thoughts before doing this video because this was a lot. This was all about the ladies, and the men have undertones, but it was a lot. So we start off with Max with his earphones on his own, walking to work, and then Iggy bumped into him, and they walk to work together, and they see that Fortis has changed New Amsterdam Hospital logo to an abbreviation as NA, like nah, NAH, New Amsterdam Hospital, and she's mopping up the Black Lives Matter on the floor, changing murals, doing all sorts. And Max was like, "What is happening? I've not even left." And she was like, yeah, we're gonna get some donations from the New York Museum. You know, we are going to try and bring more people in, i.e. rich people, I guess, predominantly white, because that's where the money fits. And so again, Max drowned out with his earphones at the office, and she was just flopping around in the background. And then we cut off to Bloom and Layla having a moment, and then in the background was Bloom's mum, who we haven't seen in a while, and Bloom was just excusing her of like, you're here for meds, collective medication, go blah blah. Later we'll find out, it turns out all these years, 30 years, endometriosis, if you don't know what endometriosis is inflammation of the uterine wall, and it is quite painful. I've heard horror stories. I don't wish it on anyone. It is quite painful and it's difficult to diagnose, as they said in the show, medication, and they've labeled this woman as an addict, and all this while she was struggling. And I'm happy that Bloom came around eventually. But when the mother started talking about the Adderall and things, I was like, oh, please don't go there. Don't go there, please. Don't blow this out. Let's go. It should be out by Christmas. I.e. Bloom's mum was telling Layla that Bloom will be out of that relationship by Christmas. They were literally jabbing each other, pretty much, in front of Layla, and she was like, what the hell did I just sign up for? Yeah, but she was quite empathetic, and I appreciated the fact that she stuck to her guts with looking after the patient, and eventually found out what was going on with Bloom's mom. So I hope the next episodes show some form of getting to reconciliation between Bloom's mom and hopefully building a relationship with Layla. Who knows? And then we cut off to Floyd and Lynn. You know, when you are guilty, suddenly everything feels like it's about you. So there's this pioneering heart surgery happening, and obviously Floyd is second chair to Lynn's husband, and so when he heard the news that he'd been pulled off the surgery, the first thing he went was like, well, Lynn, your husband knows. What did you do? How come you're not trying to tell the husband about this? If indeed it is an open relationship, how do you need to tell someone if it's already in the open? Like, help me out. Anyway, so it turns out it wasn't a husband, it was Fortis again, leaving Floyd in the dark. Well, not in the dark, but leaving him on the curb. But I appreciated that patient that he had who gave him what the priorities were for that day. So that patient, initially we saw her hand bandaged, and when Floyd was leaving, she was like, oh, let me find my pen and see what I can write. Oh, lady. Anyway, but Floyd kept looking at his watch, the clock behind the lady, and the lady clocked it. Get it? Lady clocked it, and then she was like, The last time you came to me, so basically she had presented with something else, and then Floyd was like, well, why didn't you tell me all this once? Like, the last time you came to me, you were in a rush, and then now you're standing here, you're looking at the clock. But long story short, Floyd is, I guess, said to him that if you do that lady, then you can come and scrub into that surgery. Which eventually that's what he did. He went to see that lady and then gave the surgery to the other lady, the other cardiologist whose name I've forgotten, this Latina lady, whose name I've forgotten. So she did the pioneering surgery instead, again, all about women. And so she got to be the first Latina woman in a hospital to do artificially transplanted heart for a patient, I believe. It's a gold-plated thing. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. And then we shift to a court scene where Helen is giving evidence for a patient who... Remember that scene where Max was getting his radiation thing fitted, that mesh, and had to lie down still for Helen, and he was just messing about with the phone. I think it's a similar thing for this lady, but she had to have her hand at her front like that. And I think that triggered the lady, and she opened up to Helen about abuse she had suffered as a child. And they said there's something about memories. I couldn't quite work out the details properly. I'm not really a psychiatrist. Something about how our brain reconfigures memory and you know, make things as if they were and fill in blanks to make up a story. And this was and so when Helen gave her testimony that she believed what the patient had said, the counter testimony was coming from Iggy Fromm. And they crossed paths, and the way Helen looked at him was like, oh, it's about to go down. So Iggy went and said, you know, you can't hold such memories in court. It's been a while, 20 years trying to recall something new. You can't hold that in court. He was just being objective, and he didn't realize that Helen was on the other side. That shouldn't change the case, but hey ho. And then so Helen went to his office. And for the first time, I was like, oh, when she started talking about her childhood, I thought, oh, we're going to go there today. No one wonders. Went to her childhood and how her father left her mother and her. And according to her recollection, there was a beat. She had a necklace in the narrative she's telling that the father pushed, I think, and the beat ripped apart. And Iggy was like, and she was like, oh, it was a rainy day, I remember. So Iggy went and looked up that day that Helen had described, and it turns out that year it was hot the whole year. So it couldn't have been that day or that country, she said England. And that the necklace was pushed. And Iggy was like, for you to rip a necklace, you have to have pulled it, not push it. So then Helen got really upset, got in her feelings. She was like, you know, I'm glad you're no longer practicing. If any woman was to ever come to you, I'll tell them to run for the hills, basically. And then she walked off. She got really, really upset, and eventually calmed down and went to Iggy's office. But when she was telling that story, oh, Freema, yeah, I absolutely loved this actress. Like the emotion that she exuded. I couldn't watch it. I cannot see Helen crying. I really can't. It was so triggering. She was so upset. She really made us feel, allowed us to go there to her child with it. And I went to Iggy and made amends, and then said that, you know, maybe her memory wasn't quite right. And at some, you know, that all along she'd made it look like the dad wasn't there for her. And whenever the dad had reached out, she had blotted that out and not, you know, reciprocated the approach to make amends. And maybe she was wrong all along, because it is clear that her memory of what happened and what actually happens are not the same. And the mother that she's running back into England to see, perhaps the memories of her is not as what it's supposed to be either. She hasn't seen her in years. So the nigga was like, you know, so Helen was like, what do I do if my memory is not going to be as accurate as it needs to be? What do I do? So I live in the now and then. You know, the people that love you now, where you find love, stay there, be there, do there. Now the whole episode not seeing any Helen and Max scene. So at the back of my mind, I was like, oh, maybe they'll meet at the rooftop. Okay, So then they fast forward, and it was Max and Fuertes on the rooftop. I was like, hey, please, that rooftop is always been secured for Helen. Don't ever do this again, please. That's messed up. Don't bring Fuertes or any other woman up there. Bottom line. Okay, please don't. So in the conversation, they got really, really into it. About this. So there was another storyline about this museum donation to the hospital that the patient was complaining that it belonged to them. Eventually, I think the Myanmar harp. Eventually, that got sent back, and the lady who was claiming it was hers got really upset, and then the museum said that they would pay for a new leg for her. But Fuertes was not happy about that. Max was not happy about that. But Max was happy that the patient was happy. And in their argument, he exclaimed that if I'm leaving the hospital to you and that's what you're going to be doing to it, then I'd rather not leave. And the camera pans, and it was just Helen walking towards him. And the look on her face, oh, I felt that one. The look on her face, she was like, did I just hear right? First of all, why is she here and why are you talking to her like that? And then the the episode ended. I was like, oh, wow. Next week, we are in for a treat. So I did a little bit digging and found a sneak peek for next episode, and apparently Helen's ex might be in there. I don't know how true that is and how that's going to eat at the two of them. And Max better be making some deep apologies next episode. Like, he better be on his knees kissing her foot next week, because that was not right. Taking that lady up there was no-no. To exclaim that and the absence of Helen was no-no. So all along in your heart, let me not judge, okay? You know what? I'm going to leave it as that. I'm going to leave it as that. Please watch the series if you've never watched it before. Watch the episode before you watch it, because it's going to be full of spoilers. And comment, like, let's get a conversation going, share, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.